Plot summary of Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. Binti, a teenager, nervously pokes at her picky transporter and prays that it will pick up her bags. When it does, she sighs with relief because she can now get to the train station on time. She knows that her family will be sad when they find out she's gone, but by the time they find out, she won't be here anymore. Binti gets on the shuttle and tries not to notice that her braided hair is hitting people in the face. She rolled her braids into a jais that she made especially for the trip, but she knows she must look strange because she is the only Himba on board. As the shuttle leaves, Binti looks back and sees her parents' huge house, the root, rising up out of the city. She wonders what she's up to. Binti is overwhelmed as soon as she gets to the launch port. She is uncomfortable with how much she looks like Himba. Most Himba don't leave their ancestral land because it's very important to them. That's why they wear clay at jais to cover their bodies. Binti is scared and feels alone, and she knows that her life will never be the same again. She thinks, though, that it was never going to be normal. After all, she was given a full scholarship to study math at University, which is on the other side of the galaxy. An officer of security looks closely at Binti's astrolabe. This is rude, but Binti is surprised when the officer congratulates her and tells her that her people are proud of her. He found out about her acceptance to University from her astrolabe. Then, Binti walks across the station to get on the train. As she does, she notices that almost everyone around her is Kaush. A group of Kaush women in line pull Binti's hair and smell her at jais. They are surprised that it doesn't smell like feces. One woman sneers that people who dirt bathe are dirty. Binti just doesn't care. The security guard checks Binti's body and takes an Eden out of her pocket to look at. Binti doesn't know what it does, she found it in the desert. The guard isn't very smart, so when Binti shows that she knows more than he does, he lets her on the ship without a fuss. On the ship, Binti meets 12 other new University students. They are all Kaush and about the same age as she is. A technician shows them parts of the living spaceship, and then the strict leader of the group calls out Binti for looking like a Himba. Binti becomes painfully aware over the next few days that she is the only Himba. Binti also finds out that some of the people she will be going to school with are real friends. They are just as interested in math, science, and education as she is, and they bond by having treeing competitions. Binti has a crush on a boy named Haru. He is the first person to notice that her hair is braided in a pattern that tells the story of her family. 5 days before the ship is supposed to land, during dinner, Binti holds on to her Eden and watches in horror as all of her friends explode and die. The Meduse, which look like jellyfish, have taken over the ship. Binti asks the Eden to protect her and wonders why the Meduse attacked. Even though they have problems with the Kaush, they agreed not to attack each other's ships. Binti thinks about her family at home when she is upset and sad. No one wanted her to go. Even her best friend Deli laughed when he told her he was happy for her when she got the job. Binti, on the other hand, has wanted to go to Uni ever since she found out what a university was. She can understand math in a different way and is a master harmonizer. For her, the future isn't just taking over her father's astrolabe workshop, it's also following her destiny across the galaxy. When Binti opens her eyes, she sees Meduse lying dead in front of her. When she throws the Eden at another Meduse, it jerks back. Binti starts to tree to calm down, gets some food and water, and goes to her room. She falls to the floor and tries to call for help, but the Meduse must be in charge of the signals coming in and out of the ship. Binti finds out that Uni is 5 days away. She spends the next few days walking around and crying, trying not to think about how security at Uni will blow up the ship. Binti jumps when she hears a knock on the door. When she picks up her Eden and screams at the Meduse to leave her alone, she hears angry hisses. She decides to accept her death, but as soon as she gets the Eden in her hands, she figures out how to use it. Binti rubs more at jais into her hair, and when she hears another knock, she starts rubbing at jais onto the Eden. She sees a button and presses it. From the other side of the door, she hears girl. This makes her almost scream. She understands everything the Meduse say, and her hands are stuck to the Eden. People are arguing outside, saying that Binti and the Eden are bad and want to kill her. Binti calls Akwu when she hears that one of the Meduses is named Akwu. She tries to tell Akwu that she is not bad or violent like other humans, and she says again that she doesn't know how they can talk. Binti goes to sleep, but when she wakes up, the Meduse is pulling her door off its hinges. One of them flies at her, and when it touches her arm with a tentacle, its stinger starts to shrink. Akwu tells Binti she is bad, and then he leaves. Several hours later, Akwu comes back and wants to know more about Binti's Ajais. Binti notices that the part of Akwu's hurt tentacle that touched her Ajais seems to be getting better. Akwu asks Binti for the Ajais, but she says no because the Ajais is part of her culture. Akwu offers to bring her food after a while. Binti has a hard time eating because her hands are still stuck to the Eden. Akwu notices that she is not like other people because she has Okoko. Binti doesn't know what Akwu means, but she figures out that he's talking about her thick braids. Akwu laughs and says that this is true. As they talk, Binti realizes that Akwu sounds like her brother Benna. Akwu has every right to hate people, but it doesn't know what it's talking about. Binti can see herself in Akwu because he is also young. Akwu finally explains why the Meduse attacked. Their chief stinger was stolen and is now in a museum at Umza University. Binti's insistence that the Meduse are going to die doesn't bother Akwu. Binti yells out all of a sudden that she's a great harmonizer and wants to speak up for the Meduse. She is sure that the smart people at Umza Uni will agree to give back the stinger. Akwu isn't sure, but it leads Binti to the Meduse ship and shows her where the chief is later. By doing this, both Akwu and Binti are putting their lives in danger. Binti can see that some Meduse are walking astrolabes. This shows how advanced their technology is. Binti kneels down in front of the chief and tells him about astrolabes. She realizes that she can use the Eden because she is a master at making music sound good together, so she asks to speak up for the Meduse. She can feel a stinger being pressed against the back of her neck, and she argues that if the Meduse try to get the stinger back violently, they will all die. But the chief and Akwu say that Binti needs to drop the Eden and make herself vulnerable to show that she's serious. Binti pulls her fingers off the Eden with a lot of pain. She sees a current running between her and the Medusa and feels a stinger go into her neck. Binti tells the reader that she died when she left home because she thought she could go back and carry on with her life as if nothing had happened. She had to die again to earn the respect of the Meduse. Now she knows that the Meduse aren't just violent for no reason, but that they are honest and trustworthy. Binti can smell home. She wakes up with a new layer of Ajais on her body and the Eden in her lap. The ship will land in an hour, and she has lost most of her size. Binti looks at the colorful planet as it comes into view. When they land, she struggles to stand up, but Akwu comes up and tells her to be careful. Binti finds out that she can hear Akwu's voice. It says that Binti can hear because she is a master at harmonizing sounds. It also says that they used Ajais to treat their illnesses and that they will never forget the Himba. When Binti follows Akwu to join the chief, she leaves the Eden behind. Binti put fresh Ajais in her braids before she left her room. Her head tingled, and she thought back to when she was a kid and she and her friends sneaked out at night to wash all their Ajais off. It was scary but exciting. Binti thought about washing off her Ajais before going to Umza University, but she decided not to. Soldiers from Earth meet the chief, Binti, and Akwu. The guards lead them to a big blue room full of professors. There, a professor named Harris introduces himself and asks Binti to speak. Binti talks about the Himba and their Ajais to the professors. It's annoying, but it's also kind of comforting to know that prejudice exists everywhere. Binti talks about what happened on the ship and says that no one has looked closely at the Meduse, except maybe for the chief's stinger. Binti tells them how to settle this problem without fighting. When the chief talks, the professors look away and talk among themselves. Binti sits down until the teachers look at them again. Harris says sorry to the chief in the language of the Meduse. It says that the researchers who stole the stinger will be kicked out and the stinger will be given back. Binti falls over in happiness, but Aqua holds her up. Then, Harris tells Binti how proud he is of her and asks her to study her Eden with a professor named Akbala. Harris also asks Aqua to stay and be the first student to learn Meduse. The chief is both surprised and happy. Binti feels like she is alone and a part of history. She isn't sure if her family would get it. Akbala asks Binti if she will go back home, because the Himba don't like people from other places. Binti is angry, but when she sees that her braids have turned into blue okoko, she goes into a meditative state. Aqua and the chief say that this is the only way Binti could understand them and see that she is not a prisoner. Binti wants to scream, but the chief says that Binti will always be a friend of the Meduse. The group goes to the Museum of Weapons, where the chief puts the stinger back on. Only a thin scar, which is a reminder of what people at Uni did for research, is left. Binti rubs it with Ajais to get rid of the scar. Binti finds the things she needs to make Ajais over the next few weeks. She buys oil at the market and gets clay from the forest. When the mixture is ready, Binti sobs as she takes a shower to get rid of all the Ajais from home. She wonders if her okoko will grow like hair, and she is sad that she can't braid the 10 okoko in the pattern of her family. When it gets dark, Binti panics because she doesn't know if she made real Ajais. She realizes that if she can't make Ajais here, she'll have to change, but what she takes out of her jar seems real and makes her cry. She then goes to see Aqua. Aqua is thrilled to see Binti covered in thick Ajais again and holds out a tentacle that was burned during an experiment. Binti is scared, but she puts okoko on the burn to hide it. She knows that the Meduse respect her because of her Ajais, so she wonders what Aqua thinks of her now. Binti says in a whisper that she knows the Meduse are traditional, but Aqua is the only person she can trust. Aqua tells Binti to call home, but he also says that they will always be friends. It moves a tentacle, which makes Binti's okoko move. Aqua says this shows that they are related. The burn goes away when Binti rubs the Ajais off the tentacle. Binti calls home later, and her mother picks up.
The parents of Nnedi Okorafor moved to the US so that they could get an education and to get away from the Nigerian Civil War. They took Okorafor to Nigeria many times when she was a child and teen, even though people there thought she was too American and people in the US thought she was too black. She was a track and tennis star in high school and loved math and science. But when she was told she had scoliosis, she had to give up sports. She had surgery for scoliosis when she was 19. After the surgery, she was paralyzed from the waist down for a short time. While she was in the hospital, she began writing short stories. During her time as a student, when she was getting her master's degrees in journalism and English and her PhD in English, Okorafor's professors told her not to write science fiction, but she did it anyway. In 2001, her short stories started winning awards. Since then, her short stories and novels have won many science fiction awards, such as Nebula's, Hugo's, and the Wole Soyinka Prize for Literature in Africa. Okorafor is sometimes moved to write science fiction because she doesn't see enough diversity in the genre. Binti was partly based on Okorafor's experience of leaving a close-knit Nigerian community in Chicago to teach at the University of Buffalo in New York. Okorafor was afraid she would regret this choice, and she also saw a blue jellyfish on a trip to the United Arab Emirates. Okorafor and her family live in Illinois right now.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.